ChargePoint has set its eyes on this $192 billion market, and ChargePoint stock investors are enthusiastic about its prospects. Hi everyone, so let's go into this brief video highlighting ChargePoint's massive market opportunity. Of course, Bloomberg NEF Electric Vehicle Outlook said that with the total cumulative investment in EV charging infrastructure in the US and Europe is expected to be 60 billion by 2030 and 192 billion dollars by 2040. This is how much money needs to be spent on just the electric vehicle infrastructure in the United States and Europe, let alone how much is going to be spent on actually charging electric vehicles, right? This is just the infrastructure. This is just like building the fuel stations, the gas stations, not how much spent on gas actually. So no doubt ChargePoint has a massive market opportunity ahead. The challenge will be for ChargePoint to effectively capitalize on that opportunity, to efficiently capitalize on that opportunity. And surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, ChargePoint's stock price has absolutely collapsed from a high of over $36 in 2021 all the way down to $8.27 as of this recording. Now, you could argue, and certainly I would argue, that ChargePoint's stock price should have never exploded as high as it did in late 2020 and early 2021, but that was a wild time in the stock market where nearly every asset and every asset class was soaring in response to the trillions of dollars of stimulus that governments poured into the economy. And on top of that, central banks around the world slashed interest rates to zero and added quantitative easing. All that money in the system really fueled asset prices and fueled inflation. And so temporarily there was an asset bubble, an asset price bubble that lifted stock prices up. So investors should not look to this stock price high of ChargePoint and say, oh man, it should be back to where it was. No, it should be thought of like an unrealistic explosion, like many stocks during that time, many assets during that time, which exploded to those highs. Now, regardless, ChargePoint has been making excellent progress on its mission to capitalize on that excuse me, $192 billion opportunity, but it's still got a long way to go. If you look at its revenue growth in the trailing 12 months, you could see revenue has grown from around 150 million in July of 2021 all the way up to 516 million in the trailing 12-month period of its most recent update. But that's still a far cry away from the total addressable market, the massive opportunity ahead for ChargePoint. Now, earlier in the video, I mentioned that it needs to meet this opportunity effectively and efficiently. ChargePoint just can't go along in ramping up production and selling these charging stations at extremely low prices just for the sake of revenue growth and market share growth at the expense of losses on the bottom line. And in fact, I'm encouraged to see that ChargePoint is not undertaking that strategy. In fact, they're selling their charging stations at a positive gross profit, right? You look at ChargePoint's gross profit margin, it was 20.21% most recently. Although what I was a little bit discouraged about ChargePoint was that as its revenues were increasing, its gross profit margin was decreasing, which demonstrated to me that they have very little economies of scale just yet built into the business. Now, that may take time to build up, but I would like to see more of that, which they did, and they have been demonstrating since late 2022 and early 2023, is their gross profit margin is rebounding and heading higher. All right, but that's all I've got for this video on the $192 billion market opportunity that ChargePoint is heading after and making good progress on that front. All right, thank you so much for watching. I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.